My dad saved me. Posted by user/D's94. I was 13 years old at the time, 22, and on vacation with my parents in Turkey. We were in an all-inclusive hotel and enjoying the holiday. The hotel was full of tourists from different countries. There was this one guy who was around 20 who was staring at me for some time. I felt uncomfortable and asked him how asking him how he was doing was the wrong choice. The next few days, everywhere I was also suddenly appeared. Not flirting, just lurking for hours, watching. He had a really strange vibe around me. Felt I shouldn't be alone. Now I was still young, so my parents didn't want to leave me alone in a foreign country, so he could not bother me. But one night there was a entertainment hotel, which became boring to me at the time. I told my parents I wanted to go to my own hotel room, see them in the morning. I left and walked the elevator. What I didn't know is that this guy who was watching for days saw me leaving. He had followed me. When I saw him also coming in, I was in great fear. He looked at me silently with a sinister smile. This is it, I thought. Rape, assault, or maybe even worse. And just before the doors of the elevator, like a boot in between doors were closing. I'm not kidding. All I could see was the boot. The doors opened and my dad. He saw that creepy guy was leaving the exact time I hadn't left and didn't trust it. Looked the guy. He looked the guy in the eye and said hello. My dad took me to my own hotel room. To this day, I'm so glad for the rescue because I don't want it to happen.
Guy at a bar roofies my beer, then tries to convince my friends to let me go home with him. Posted by user/Whimsy Moth. Last night, my friends, my crush, and I agreed to meet at my favorite bar after work. I was a bit early since I got to leave work 30 minutes early, so I went inside and ordered a beer for myself. There was a huge muscular guy with a long ass ponytail sitting at the bar, and next to him was empty. He offered me to sit down, so I did. We had some small talk, and he seemed nice enough. Just asked me why I'm all alone, and he kept talking about how I looked so uneasy and nervous and that I should relax. It was weird, but he had an almost empty bottle of vodka in front of him. So, I really didn't think of anything. My friends finally arrived just as I finished my first beer, and we went to sit at a table. I had 3 more bottles of beer, and we were having a great time. When I went to the toilet, the guy from the bar was there, asking me if I was okay. That was pretty strange, but at the time, I just felt a little tipsy, and everything was alright. At some point, I started to feel sick, so I went outside to have a cigarette and get some cold air. The guy followed me outside and asked if I was right. I was starting to get weirded out at this point. The bar was super full, but he really seemed to watch me all night. I went back inside, ordered a glass of water, and told my friends that I wasn't feeling well and would be going home. They all offered to bring me home, which I am so darn grateful looking back. I took a sip of water, and then it all just hit me. I ran outside and threw up. I could barely stand up all of a sudden. So I sat down on a staircase and kept throwing up. My friends found me a few minutes later and kept arguing about whether they should take me to a taxi or carry me home. Then the guy from the bar showed up. He kept saying that he lives just down the street and that I could sleep on his couch. My coworker, who is basically like an older brother to me, got really pissed off and told the guy to fuck off. They forced me to stand up, which was almost impossible at that point, and somehow dragged me to my friend's place, where I went to sleep hugging a bucket and feeling like I was gonna die any second. This morning, I wasn't able to stand up for hours. When I did, resulted in instant vomiting. It was 1 p.m. when I finally managed to go to the train station, get something to eat and drink, and head home. I'm still shaking and sweating, and everything looks blurry. So, weird guy from the bar, I hope we never meet again. And I hope you won't be doing this to other girls.
I was someone else's. It's not posted by user slash sip of sunshine. This was years ago, but I still tell this story to my friends any chance I get. I was the baddie in someone's Let's Meet. When I was in high school, I entered a relationship with a very close friend. After Ivory and I broke up, we stayed good friends. When Ivory's birthday came, she asked me to come to the birthday party she was having. The first leg of the evening was at a restaurant I'd never been to a few times over. Afterward, we would all return to a mutual friend's house for beverages and relaxation. One of Ivory's friends had volunteered to drive us all to the restaurant, but I'd heard plenty of stories of terrible driving. As a result, I opted to chauffeur myself in my luxurious minivan. Yes, I drove a minivan, and Ivory's friend told me 7 p.m. So at 7 p.m., my black ass rolled into the parking lot. I called Ivory to let her know I had arrived, but they were just leaving. I heard Ivory tell her friend, "If you tell Sip of Sunshine 7, he's there at 7. This all meant I had about half an hour of boredom before I'd have company. Being the introvert I am, I decided not to go inside and wait like a normal person. I instead decided to listen to whatever angsty music I was into at the time. Probably Heartbeat by Childish Gambino. Moreover, I also didn't park right near the restaurant. The restaurant was located in a plaza, a strip with several other stores inside. For some reason, I thought it'd be weird for patrons to see me sitting there like some waiting weirdo. Instead, I parked far into the plaza by a supermarket. I could still see the restaurant, and there were fewer cars inside. 5 minutes go by, and I'm rapidly switching through songs. 10 minutes go by, bored like a piece of pine in a woodshop class. Out of the abyssal silence of boredom, I felt the hum of a text come through. Ivory texted me. Thank God, a brief reprieve from this boredom. As I'm composing a response, I get this weird feeling. You know that feeling like someone's watching, like you could almost hear their eyes? I felt something unnerving. So I looked up from the glow of my phone to the darkness before me. What I saw was a family of four. There was a woman, a husband, and their 2 children. All four were looking at me intensely. The one was standing in front of her 2 children with her hands outstretched as though to shield them from the proleptic and palpable existential danger. The look in her eyes was of sheer horror, like a waiter had asked her if is Pepsi okay? I had never seen such utter panic so visible on someone's face, and I once had to physically intervene to prevent an armed assailant from attacking someone. The woman slowly creeped forward, family inching behind her. She began moving toward the driver's side, closing me with each step, and terrorizing. I'm beginning to panic because I have no clue what this woman and her family are snarling at me so aggressive. Did they mistake me for Ajit Pai? Without warning, the husband says something I could not hear through the glass. He extends his arm and points to my left. His wife, children, and I all simultaneously follow his hand. He was pointing 5 spots to the left of my car, where an almost identical one sat. Mother threw her head back, a single burst of laughter, as she unlocked her car. The family left the grocery store to find a black train desk and all black sitting in the car. He then proceeded to maintain eye contact. Felt like an attorney. My perplexed expression likely appeared as sinister, especially in the crepuscular light. I'm just glad they realized where their car was before anyone got hurt. Police got called. So, family who thought I was in their car at night, I promise we can totally meet. I'm actually a really nice guy who doesn't steal cars. Too long, didn't read. Family thought I was stealing their car because I was sitting in my car to pass the time. Pretty sure the panic literally shaved years off that poor woman's life. Edit. I just want to thank everyone for being so encouraging about my writing. Inspired me to take it seriously as a hobby. I'm sure you around writing subreddit. You lot truly wonderful.
A man approached me and my kids in a deserted mall parking lot at 10 o'clock at night and started talking to my kids. Posted by user slash spooky red. So, this happened about 5 years ago while I was 9 months pregnant. I was Christmas shopping at the mall with my then 7 and 15-year-old daughters one Saturday night in a very safe city with very low crime rate. There was an Applebee's connected to the mall, and we ended up shopping pretty late. And the mall stores were starting to close, so I took my kids to the connected Applebee's for a late dinner. We finished up eating about 10 p.m. and leave out the Applebee's entrance into the practically deserted parking lot with our shopping bags in tow. As we get to the car, I was in the middle of maneuvering the shopping bags on my arms to find my keys when a 50-ish-year-old crusty-looking guy starts walking up from somewhere in the parking lot with shaggy gray white hair and faded flannel shirt and old jeans. I noticed him briskly approaching us when he was about 40 feet away, and he said, "This is a stick-up. Give me all your money." My blood ran cold. I stared at him owlishly and shakingly and said, "What?" Then he said he was just kidding and came up and stood right next to my daughters, who were standing on the other side of the car, waiting for me to unlock the car to let them in. He then starts making small talk with me and my girls. He's asking things like if they were being good for girls for Santa, how old they were, if we got all of our Christmas shopping done, what kind of things did we get. He didn't seem drunk, high, slow, or mentally challenged at all. He was very coherent and seemed of sound mind. Mind you, I was a heavenly pregnant woman, along with my $2 in a mostly deserted parking lot at 12 o'clock at night, who was being approached by a stranger who came and stood right next to my kids. On the other side of the car, just shooting the breeze, talking to me and my kids with his hands in his pockets, occasionally looking over his shoulder. I didn't want to aggravate him, so I politely conversing with him and trying to look calm and nonchalant while trying to disguise my frantic hands digging in my giant purse for my car keys. This exchange went for a couple minutes while he periodically kept looking over his shoulder. I was slightly panicking and trying to politely keep the situation from escalating by calmly and nonchalantly talking to him, also trying to find my damned car keys to get us out of here. They were in there hiding good. I felt that at any moment he was going to pull a knife or a gun or rob me, and my kids were right fucking next to him, away from their mother on the other side of the car, and I couldn't find my fucking car keys to get my kids into the safety of the car. He kept trying to engage them in conversation, and I could see my oldest daughter was getting weirded out. She kept glancing to me, gauge my assessment reaction to this situation. Kids often tend not to recognize potential danger when they're with their parents, since they see us as their protectors. And being that he was the one talking and acting friendly, I was doing my best to stay calm. They were oblivious to the alarming situation we were all in, and being 9 months pregnant, and that I was no match for this full-grown man, especially if he was hiding a weapon on him. While still desperately digging for my keys, I tried to politely give him hints that the conversation was over by saying things like, "It was nice chatting with you, but I gotta get these kids to bed. And it was nice meeting you," and telling my girls to say it was nice meeting him too. My polite attempts to get this guy to leave wasn't working, because he kept sidestepping my attempts and asking them what their favorite school subjects are, and how nice young ladies they were, etc., while I was struggling with the shopping bags and digging my giant cluttered purse for my car keys. My outgoing 7-year-old was completely oblivious to how not okay the situation was, because he was being friendly, and the whole time, because of the whole "I'm with mommy, so I'm safe" child mentality. So she started to talk about what she picked up for Christmas, and started enthusiastically talking about kid stuff and asking him if he knew what Minecraft was, etc., and kept his creep from keeping this creep from leaving us alone by keeping him engaged in the conversation. They didn't realize that I was becoming desperate to get them the hell out of there. Then I started to suddenly feel this sinking feeling of dread when I realized that I may have lost my keys in the mall, and that we were stuck outside with this strange man who kept looking over his shoulders and was showing no signs of walking away. And I was thinking that he was waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. He had to do was grab one of my girls and threaten their life, knowing it would make me do whatever he wanted as long as he wouldn't hurt them. I started to feel my adrenaline start to spike, and my heart and stomach started doing flip-flops, and felt like at any moment shit was going to go down, as the gravity of realizing that there were no other people or witnesses around, and that we were totally alone with him at that moment. The odds were stacked against us, and that he has his chance. Then, all of a sudden, he was like, "Okay, it was nice talking to you. Yeah, see you later," and walked off in the same direction to which he came. It wasn't until then I found my car keys and unlocked the door and told my kids to get in fast. And I got in too, locked the doors, and started the car, and drove the hell out of there. My 15-year-old lightheartedly and jokingly said, "Okay, that was weird," and laughed. I was overwhelmed with relief, and then I was confused of what happened. I thought to myself, why the hell would a guy seemingly sound mind think that it would be totally acceptable to go out of his way to propose to a woman and her kids in a deserted parking lot late at night just to chit-chat? But being that nothing happened, I brushed it off and joked about it too. When we got home, my husband greeted us and asked us how our shopping went. I said it went well, and my 15-year-old daughter told him what happened in the parking lot and how weird it was, and was kind of joking about it. I started joking too, saying how I was mentally having a panic attack while trying to look calm, and started making fun of myself by telling my husband how I was attempting to inconspicuously rummage through my purse to find my car keys. My husband went completely white, and I acknowledged his horrified look of alarm and assured that I'll be creep. The guy was just talking and eventually left on his own. Now, my father-in-law is a retired sheriff deputy, and my husband went through the police academy training after graduating high school. He decided to go into business school instead of becoming a cop. And being that the knowledge he gained from that, plus growing up with a cop for a dad, I found out why my husband looked absolutely horrified. What my husband told me completely rattled me to the bone. My husband told me that he was 100% sure that the reason the guy was hanging around us and chit-chatting was because he was waiting for me to unlock my car. And the reason why he was standing next to our kids was because once I unlocked the car and the kids started to get inside, he was more than likely going to force himself into the car with the kids and hold a knife or a gun to them to gain leverage on me, to force me to cooperate, knowing I wouldn't abandon my kids, which would force me to get into the car with them and do whatever he wanted to do, which most likely would be to drive to a remote location to do God knows what. And being that he wasn't wearing a mask suggested his intentions were also to leave no witnesses to identify him. Then I remembered that he was positioned by the back seat of the passenger door where my 7-year-old was standing by waiting to get in. My husband then told me that the likely reason why the guy ended up leaving was because it took so long for me to find my keys, and the longer it took, the more anxious and spooked it made him. And the whole time, I was desperate to find my car keys, which through some sort of divine intervention stayed hidden in my purse, thus saving us from potentially being abducted. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys, of course, did, Alex, what should they do?
Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the little bell.
That little
Like the
bell.
like the good Southern belle you think you can pull off, but you can't. You're really bad at that accent. You should do it.
But yeah, guys, we're back. We're making sure that you guys get some great content that is well worth the wait. And these stories in the rain are very, very fun to do. Alex, anything else you got to
Oh,
say?
nothing. Other
Well,
than until next time, assume we're alive.